Hey everyone. My name's Max. This is Bobby. He's a really great friend of mine. We both go to the same school, and he's kind of a mentor to me. And he's really kind of diverse in this one sector of entrepreneurship, kind of online entrepreneurship. He's been clever with different websites, and we're working on some projects together. And we're working on some projects together, and he's just, I don't know. I just wanted to kind of hear his story, hear how he got started, and hopefully learn a little bit. So, yeah.
Great to be here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely. So just to start, I guess, kind of, what have you done? What are the websites that you built, and how did you get started in kind of online entrepreneurship?
Yeah, so I started a long time ago, back in high school. This was like 2004. I was building this Yu-Gi-Oh website, which was big anime back then. Don't know if you remember it at all.
Absolutely.
This is when it was still on TV too. So there's a huge fan base, a lot of teenagers who really like this. I built this website to try and build a following. Really didn't have any direction or vision for it, just wanted to build an online community for Yu-Gi-Oh fans. And it did pretty well. At one point, I was like the number 2 or 3 Yu-Gi-Oh website in the US for like 2 months or something. It was just a lot of fun doing it. I was managing a team in high school of content creators, which thinking back is like, wow, I'm impressed I actually did that. I also dabbled a little bit in Facebook apps, like 2006, 2007, when Facebook was still allowing apps, third-party apps, on their platform. And I built this really cool never have I ever kind of game where you could post a question on your Facebook wall and then have friends answer yes or no, whether they had done that particular activity, like have you ever gone skydiving or something like that, and it would automatically add them into the app when they said yes or no. So it's like viral marketing back before viral marketing was really a thing. So that's when I really got into building online businesses. I wasn't business minded at that point, and probably about 2008, when I was just going to college, my aunt knocked some sense into me saying, why aren't you actually building something for profit? Like, why are you doing this for free? It's got me thinking, but I really didn't do anything for the next few years. That's until I graduated college. About a year out of college, I started this personal finance blog called Making Money Fast and Slow with one of my friends back from undergrad. And we just loved personal finance, teaching people how to invest, build up wealth. And so we started this site, but really didn't make any money for the first year or so. However, about the same time, I started this site called capitalizemytitle.com, which is as simple as it sounds. It just capitalizes titles for bloggers, journalists, writers, anyone with an article, basically, using the right capitalization rules. Mm-hmm. And that has grown from basically nothing in 2012, 2013 to now well over 200,000 monthly users, which for such a simple site has been mind-boggling for me.
Yeah.
But seeing that growth really got me interested more in online businesses, and I started monetizing that through ads. But I thought there were other potential tools that I could build in that same realm. So I started building like web designer tools and a password generator, like all sorts of random websites to see if I could capture the same kind of success as Capitalize My Title had. None of them worked. And then to the end of 2015, I sat down for a couple of hours and built this viola ratings and review site. It was basically just a store, e-commerce store for violas and accessories because I play viola. And I sold a couple of violas in a few months. And that really got me into this musical instruments rating and review kind of world where I now mostly do ratings and reviews of various musical instruments. Wow, the wind's picking up. Whether it be violas, cellos, violins, etc. And that's really the crux of my online business right now.
Yeah, absolutely, that's awesome. And actually, so with respect to his first site, Capitalize My Title, it's a fascinating little website. Like you said, over 200,000 monthly unique users, and it's insane. You can check it out, capitalizemytitle.com. I think it's fascinating. I use it for my blog posts too. So
that's awesome.
But yeah, okay, cool. And so you kind of just discovered that, like, you just kind of, like, how did you get into web development? How did you realize that was a thing that you could just build a website? Because I didn't realize that it was that easy, like, it was so easy through, like, WordPress or Wix or, like online tools, or just learning kind of basic HTML. I didn't learn that was a possible path until, I want to say, like, 2 years ago. So it took me a long time. How did you, like, what kind of got you, what alerted you to that possibility?
So I think it was like third or fourth grade. We had these little 2-week sessions where you could take like micro classes during, and other people could take breaks and vacation if you wanted to, but I always took classes. It's called all year round school or something. And I signed up for an HTML course one of these sessions. So 2 weeks, I just learned very, very basic HTML. We built a basic website. And I didn't really touch websites until 7th grade. So that was like a good 3 or 4 years. But I still had this folder of basic HTML. And that's what I grabbed. It's like, I don't know why I decided to build websites. I just happened to. I grabbed this folder and started writing HTML. And then slowly but surely learned PHP, which was another big language back then, like MySQL as well for databases. And it just took off from there. I mean, I was really good at computer science in high school, majored in computer science in college, like I said. So it kind of just snowballed from there. But I don't know what really got me into websites right then when I was in 7th grade.
Very interesting.
7th or 8th grade.
It's super cool. I'm building websites now. Kind of after you kind of showed me how it works and how it functions, I've started building a lot of little websites. And I wish I got into it when I was in high school or like 8th grade. Like I wish I knew it when I was a kid. I would have had so much fun. It would have been so entertaining. But yeah.
I'd say the biggest thing for me though was I used to build my own sites. Up until about 3 or 4 years ago, even I would like all these tool sites that I was testing. I would code them from scratch basically. And there was something that clicked in my mind. I was like, why am I wasting all my time writing code to build these websites? They don't look very good when I could just use an out-of-the-box solution like WordPress and modify it to my liking. That's really what got me. That accelerated the growth of my websites.
Absolutely, yeah. No, like WordPress is awesome. Like if you haven't, just check out WordPress.org. Like it's awesome. You can host your website from there. You can build it through templates. It's super easy. So awesome. Let's see. So your current sites, you have, I think you said 9 different websites.
Something like that.
Right
Keep
now.
losing track as I keep making new ones.
That's awesome. So you have somewhere around 9-10 websites. And they're kind of blog format, review format, all over the board. And how much, how long does it take you to build a new website when you get a new idea?
So it used to take me like a week or so. Like whenever I was testing these basic tool sites, it would take me about a week to get the basic website up and running, maybe like 2 hours a day, so probably 10 hours plus. But that was because I was doing everything from scratch.
Yeah, hard coding it.
Yeah, with WordPress, like the initial Viola site that I started, it took me about 5 hours. That was just getting the template up, getting the products loaded into the website. And then after that, it was mostly just writing blog articles. And so that can be time consuming. I used to handwrite all these blog articles, so writing a 1,000-word or 1,500-word blog article can take some time. It can take 5 hours plus, especially when you're first starting out per article. So that was the hardest part. Nowadays, getting the site up and running, I can do in about 2 or 3 hours because I'm basically just copying the same template and settings and everything site to site. And I use this really cool backup plugin called Updraft Plus that automatically backs up my website every day. And then I can automatically migrate the setting and themes to a new site as soon as I stand it up. So it's really simple to get a website up and running. It's really that content creation time that takes a long time.
Yeah, awesome. Okay. And so on kind of the content creation side, that seems like kind of the only upkeep for these websites, like the recurring work that you have to do to keep them up. And so you've been kind of clever with that, from what I understand from like kind of our conversations together. You've been clever and you kind of outsourced the content creation, so you don't have to do it all yourself. And you use just talk a little bit about that. I'd love to hear.
Yeah. So that really came about last fall. So like I said, before I was mostly writing these articles by myself. It would take me a long time. I'd have a really long backlog of articles that I would want to write, and I would just never get around to them. So I dabbled with outsourcing article creation using Upwork before. Never really had great results, usually because I was I was charging too little or asking too little for the article. So I'd pay someone maybe $10 for an article or something like that, and that wasn't working out. So I started testing higher price points. Now that I had a cash flow positive business, how can I start getting better content? And when I started pushing that pricing up, I started getting better and better quality.
Yeah.
And yeah, there's a little bit of training up front. Like you put out a posting for a job, you have to go through all the different applications to see who's the best and most qualified for your job, and then hiring that person, training them on what kind of articles you want written, how to format it, what stuff's really important to have in there, how to do some of the basic SEO stuff, etc. And that can take a little bit of work, back and forth, especially for the first few articles. But now there's one guy I have in particular who I literally just sent him the topic, like 2 or 3 words of what I want the article to be about, and he'll produce a whole 1,500 word article, detailed in this correct formatting that I want, so that it's brought the time for creating a new post for me down from like 5 hours to maybe like 15 minutes total. Because I'll send him the topic, he'll send back the article, and then now I've created an Excel spreadsheet where I can easily paste all of the content that he's given me into this Excel document, paste that right into the website, and it takes me 15 minutes now to publish an article.
That's awesome. That's super cool. Wow.
So
Yeah.
outsourcing definitely works.
Yeah.
Like I said, the tool I use is Upwork, mostly for hiring freelancers, but I also have some actual contractors on my staff as well.
That's awesome. And where'd you hire the contractors? Was it just connections that you've made, or?
Yeah, connections I made.
Awesome. That's super cool. I've been fiddling with Upwork actually. A couple days ago, I posted a little description, kind of hunting for like, hey, if you would be open to like finding me emails of certain like professionals in the industry. Say like, I want 100 emails of active wedding planners for like kind of customer exploration. If I wanted to test an idea or wanted to kind of figure out what are the problems in a certain industry, it's an awesome site. So Upwork.com, really cool site. Yeah, that's so cool. You've just kind of outsourced everything. And so like per week, how much, since you do have a lot of websites, so I would imagine there's a lot of different back and forth with different people, but per week, how much time would you spend in hours on all of your sites combined?
Right now, since I'm in school and I'm trying to grow, one, I'm doing this for my capstone project, so I have a lot more time available for that, and I'm trying to really grow one of the new sites that I built last fall. I'd say I spend about 8 to 10 hours a week. That's obviously more just so I can get things out of the way before I start working full time. Yeah. Get a lot of content up there and out there. But I could easily spend like less than 5 hours a week on all of this if I really wanted to.
Yeah.
In fact, the 3 websites that I have that generate the most revenue, I'd say it's probably like the 80-20 rule.
Yeah.
They generate 80% of my revenue at least, and I spend at most like 5 hours a month on them.
Wow.
Not even a week, a month.
Wow.
So the 80-20 rule definitely applies.
Yeah.
For me, it's mostly been spending time on building up new sites that I have instead of focusing on the old ones that I already have. So that's where most of the time comes from. And I could easily say I don't want to spend that time and just keep generating the same amount of revenue that I have been for my previous sites.
Yeah, okay. Awesome. That is super cool. So it's super little time. And if you would be potentially comfortable sharing it, like how, like what's a ballpark of kind of how much you make off of these websites per month-ish?
At this point, if I really wanted to, I could technically do this full time and be comfortable at that point. That's not what I'm willing to do right now. But it has definitely helped defray some of my graduate school costs as well. So that's definitely helpful.
That's
It gives me some freedom now to travel as well in my free time when I have breaks.
That's almost total freedom. That's awesome. That's kind of like the Tim Ferriss kind of living free, doing whatever you want kind of situation.
And when I started all this, I didn't even know who Tim Ferriss was.
Yeah.
I found 4-Hour Workweek 2 or 3 years ago after I already had this. I was like, interesting.
Wow. Yeah. What initially got me kind of into the lean entrepreneurship model of just kind of like small ideas, like just scaling them to as far as you can, not like the huge Silicon Valley unicorn kind of entrepreneurship, but just like simple, solve a basic problem, get a little bit of interest, and generate kind of something off of that. Kind of, again, like the Tim Ferriss vibe. I only learned about, like, that's kind of what got me inspired to learn about entrepreneurship, to get more excited about online things, kind of the opportunities out there. So it's interesting that you kind of you discovered it organically, kind of on your own.
The biggest thing is these opportunities aren't going to be around forever. And so you kind of do want to swing big, try and get some big cash flow early on, so that in case the opportunity disappears later, you've already captured that. Because if you're generating barely a full-time income over the next couple of years and the opportunity disappears, unless you have something else to fall back on, you're not going to be able to support yourself.
Yeah, so it's a little bit, I mean, that's
Yeah.
entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's a little bit scary. Yeah, that's super cool. Okay, awesome. And so actually, just kind of a question that I haven't asked you yet. So I've been researching a little bit about a different form of e-commerce. So mostly some of the sites that we do are based off of like affiliate programs with like different like wholesale or like places like Amazon. So you'll get a percentage of the stuff that you sell on the site, or you'll do ad revenue, kind of other things like that, or referral programs. That's in the main space that you function. I've been looking into Shopify though. Have you heard of kind of how that functions? That's more like direct e-commerce, where
And
you actually
drop
have,
shipping.
Yeah, drop
Yeah.
shipping. Like you actually sell something physical, but you have it outsourced in a warehouse, and they do the shipping for you. You just kind of get the interest. And so, like, what do you know about that? Because I am actually interested in trying something along those lines.
So I know a lot about it. I have done a lot of research on it.
Mm-hmm.
It's something that I've stayed away from for a couple of reasons. So for those of you who don't know what dropshipping is, it's basically that you set up an e-commerce store using Shopify, or you can use WordPress with WooCommerce and add products to your site. So let's say I'm selling violas, like my website early on. I could put up a bunch of different violas that I find from various brands, manufacturers, etc., and then have an on-site cart so that people can order directly from my website. And then all I would do as the site owner is get a list of everyone who's ordered and paid me, and then send that list to the manufacturer so that they can ship that viola or whatever it is directly to the customer. And so the appealing part of that is you have higher profit margins. Like with my commissions for my sites with affiliate marketing, I get about 6%, which for me it's fine because I have a large enough audience now. But for people just starting out, 6% is not very much. So that with drop shipping, you can easily get like 20 to 30% margins, depending on how you market it, how you price it, etc. You get to set your own prices. And beyond that, it just works like a normal e-commerce store. The challenges for me have, and why I haven't gone that route, are it's a lot more work because you then have to send those orders. You can set up automated systems, but you have to somehow send those orders to the vendors, manage those vendor relationships, which is a lot more operational work. And then you also have to manage customers as well. So if customers want to return, they have an issue with the product, defects, warranties, all of these different things, you're now responsible for that.
Yeah.
So you have to set up customer service, and yes, you can outsource some of that too, but it's a lot more work versus just marketing existing products on these other affiliate sites. So it's a trade-off. Yeah, you get higher margins, higher reward, and more control over the whole process. But then there's a lot of logistical things you have to take care of as well.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. And if you wanted to, that makes sense. That makes sense. Like that makes a lot more sense. So it's like you said, trade-off between work versus potentially more profit.
Yeah.
And so, but I think the appeal of your sites is like affiliate marketing, much more hands-off. But if you wanted to, could you potentially just transfer one of your sites to drop shipping? Because you already have the interest there. You already have people kind of going to the site to buy this certain thing. So couldn't you just technically transfer it to a drop shipping format and sell directly to them through your site?
Theoretically, I could. It would still have I'd still have a lot of upfront work to do.
Absolutely.
Start setting up those vendor relationships, etc. And a lot of the existing products out there to facilitate those relationships, to like automatically drop ship products and stuff like that, so that you only have to import them to WooCommerce, are things like Alibaba, where it's usually lower cost products in general, cheaper quality. So I just I don't trust that.
Yeah.
It's something I could do if I wanted to.
Yeah, okay. That makes more sense. Yeah, okay, awesome. But yeah, it's incredibly cool. You found your niche. You've really thrived in that area. So let's see. If other people out there, people that are watching, or I personally, like for instance, wanted to learn how to get into what you're doing, like if wanted to learn how to build a website, how to connect it to Amazon affiliate, or just try to get traffic flowing to the site, wanted to learn basic search engine optimization kind of stuff like that, is there any place that you would recommend people get started? Or
my favorite podcast, I've told you this before, is Pat Flynn. He runs Smart Passive Income. So that's the website, smartpassiveincome.com. I love his podcast, listen to it all the time, especially when I'm running. So that's a great place to get started. He'll teach you some tips and tricks on how to get there. In the next month or two, I'm actually going to be starting up my own blog too, bloggingfromanisland.com. So you'll be able to learn how to start a blog from scratch, how to get it started with affiliate marketing, all sorts of things. I want to teach people how to actually get started with this.
Awesome.
So look out for that. Beyond that, for me, it's been a lot of testing and learning.
Yeah, experimentation.
Like I said, I spin up all these random websites to see what would work and what stuck. And the things that I thought least likely to work actually end up working. So you never know what's actually going to work until you just put it out there and see what customers respond to.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, yeah, no, absolutely. It's just kind of trial and error. Just see what you like, see what works.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, yeah. And so from here, I guess my last question would be like, what are you doing now? What do you plan to do in the future?
Yeah. So I'm finishing up school, grad school. I'm going to start a full-time job next year, but I'm going to still continue building these websites out, see where I can grow them to. In the long run, I want to build up enough of a financial cushion to be able to travel, have freedom traveling, hit all 7 continents, and eventually retire to Scotland. One of my dreams is to buy a sheep farm in Scotland and just settle there.
That is probably the coolest dream that I've ever heard. Why a sheep farm?
When I went to Scotland the first time, I just saw sheep everywhere and I fell in love with it. Just
That's awesome.
something about them drew me to them. And I came back that first time from Scotland, I was like, I want to retire there and buy a sheep farm. A few years later, I went to Iceland, actually, and then
awesome.
there were a bunch of baby lambs all hopping about and made me want that even more. So looking forward to it.
That's super cool. And I would love to, that's my goal too. I would love to eventually get to the point where, even if it's not too much, JV. JV is another individual that I interviewed. That should be the first interview that I post, so you can go back and check out that. He's kind of also trying to live that dream. He's built a website using an ebook, an informational product, and he kind of lives off of that, and he's just gone traveling, kind of.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's the dream. Just kind of build up some online entrepreneurship, some clever traffic, some clever websites, and then just off I go.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, cool. Well, that's all my questions. Thank you so much for watching, and thank you so much for kind of being on the show and talking about it.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Yeah. All right, cool.
Good luck.
Okay, so that was Bobby. Really great friend of mine. He just graduated his MBA. And he's traveling Egypt right now, and he's just having a fun time. And the purpose of that interview was to show you kind of the perspective and the process of someone who's also another very successful internet entrepreneur, kind of like JV from the last video. Bobby has done a different method of online entrepreneurship. He's taken kind of a different route, but it's still very recreatable. Especially I really want to delve into Bobby's story and what Bobby's done, because what he's done is super recreatable, super easy to work with, very, very simple stuff, not unbelievably technical or complex. It's not like building some insane tech product. So, and I've experimented with it. I'm working on a website with him, and like JV, I want to go through his website. He has 7 though, so hopefully some of his websites, and we'll go over the ones that I'm building with him, just to understand how those function, how those are built. So hopefully you can experiment with it. So yeah, awesome. I hope you liked it.